I am not sorry. And I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Door! Open the door! Break it. Hands! Let me see your hands! Step out here! Step out! Get on the ground!
Before I did this, I planned on taking multiple girls, killing multiple families. I wanted to treat them differently, play mind games with them.
Trevor Summers, a resident of Tampa, Florida, committed unspeakable crimes that shook the community to its core. He was found guilty of kidnapping, attempted murder, and rape, causing outrage and horror among the authorities and the public. Police reports reveal that Summers forcefully entered his ex-wife's home, Alyssa Mathewson, and launched a vicious attack on her with a knife, attempting to rape and kill her. He then kidnapped and drove her to a remote location where he continued to assault her. Summers had already been warned and given a restraining order to stay away from Alyssa, but he blatantly ignored it, showing no regard for the law or the safety of others. Even the court trial was marked by horror and terror at the hands of Trevor Summers. Despite warnings and a restraining order, Summers showed no remorse or regard for his ex-wife Alyssa Mathewson's safety. Even his daughter and wife were cross-examined during the trial, highlighting the extent of his violent and abusive behaviour. After a lengthy trial that shook the community, the jury found him guilty on all charges. Summers' lack of remorse and disregard for the law prompted the judge to sentence him to life in prison, calling his actions heinous and unforgivable. Despite attempts to keep him from hurting others, Summers continued to ignore authorities and cause pain and trauma to those around him, leaving a trail of destruction and heartbreak in his wake. Alyssa, who had a lifetime protective order against Summers, bravely addressed the court with a powerful statement, expressing her relief that she would never have to fear him again. The trauma and fear she had experienced at the hands of Summers was immeasurable, and the fact that he would be right in front of her questioning her about the crimes he committed was incredibly intimidating. This crime is a chilling reminder of the danger posed by individuals who refuse to respect restraining orders and the importance of protecting victims from further harm. Jake Patterson made headlines for committing a heinous crime that shocked the state of Wisconsin and the United States. On October 15, 2018, he broke into the home of James and Dennis Kloss and fatally shot both of them before abducting their 13-year-old daughter Jamie Kloss. Patterson held Jamie captive for 88 days in a remote cabin in the woods where he subjected her to physical and emotional abuse. Despite her ordeal, Jamie managed to escape on January 10, 2019 and alert authorities, who apprehended Patterson shortly after. During his trial, Patterson pleaded guilty to the charges against him, including 2 counts of intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, calling his actions evil and depraved. During the trial, the prosecutor revealed the harrowing and shocking details of what Jamie Kloss endured during her 88-day captivity. Patterson confined the young girl to a small space under his bed for hours and subjected her to physical and emotional abuse. He also forced her to stay hidden under the bed when he had visitors, further exacerbating her traumatic experience. Throughout her captivity, Patterson controlled every aspect of Jamie's life, including what she ate, wore, and even what music she listened to. He would often force her to stay in a remote cabin for hours on end with no access to food or water. On one occasion, he struck her in the back with a wooden object, leaving her with severe bruises and physical pain. Despite Patterson's horrific abuse and control over her, Jamie Kloss would ultimately escape from captivity and alert the authorities. In court, Patterson pleaded guilty to all charges against him, including 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of armed burglary. He was subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During the trial, it was revealed that Patterson had carefully planned the abduction and had even shaved his head and face to avoid leaving DNA evidence at the crime scene. He also took steps to alter the cabin's appearance where he held Jamie captive. It's deeply concerning when individuals commit heinous crimes without any apparent regard for the pain and suffering they cause their victims and their families. Despite his grandfather's account of Jake Patterson being shy and quiet, his actions speak louder than any words, and the fact that he could commit such atrocities indicates that something was seriously wrong. Patterson's lack of remorse or explanation for his crimes only further emphasises the extent of his sociopathy. Sadly, Patterson is not alone in his lack of accountability. Many other perpetrators of heinous crimes have failed to take responsibilities for their actions, leaving their victims and families without the closure they need to move forward. Stuart Campbell was the uncle of 15-year-old Danielle Jones and her legal guardian. However, his actions were far from one would expect from a responsible and caring family member. In 2001, Danielle went missing in East Tilbury, Essex, and despite months of searching, her body wasn't found. However, police discovered her DNA on a pair of blood-stained white stockings and a lip gloss, leading them to suspect foul play. After further investigation, Campbell was arrested and charged with Danielle's murder. The trial revealed disturbing details of his behaviour towards Danielle, including inappropriate sexual conduct and an obsession with her that had been going on for years. Campbell had even installed cameras in Danielle's bedroom to spy on her and had been caught with child pornography. Despite overwhelming evidence, Campbell denied involvement in Danielle's disappearance and murder, but he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 22 years. The tragedy of Danielle's death and the heinous crimes committed by Campbell sent shockwaves through the community and left many wondering how such a trusted family member could commit such unspeakable acts. Stuart Campbell had previously been convicted of indecent assault on teenage girls. During the trial, the prosecutor revealed that Campbell had an unhealthy obsession with Danielle and was sexually attracted to her, ultimately leading to her tragic fate. During the trial, evidence revealed that Campbell had been grooming Danielle for several months before her disappearance. The police also found disturbing evidence on his computer, including indecent images of children and pictures of Danielle. It was clear that Campbell had an unhealthy obsession with his niece and had sexually assaulted her before her disappearance. During the trial, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence against him, including disturbing images found on his computer and his unhealthy obsession with Danielle. On August 23, 2002, he was found guilty on both counts and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 20 years. Despite the impact of his heinous crime on the Essex police and the community, Campbell showed no emotion when the sentence was read. The family of Danielle continues to suffer without being able to lay her to rest, as Campbell has refused to reveal the location of her body. In May 2019, Michael Webb, a 51-year-old man from Texas, made national headlines for abducting an 8-year-old girl walking to school with her mother. This harrowing incident was captured on a surveillance camera, which showed Webb forcibly taking the child and driving away in his vehicle. The abduction triggered a massive search effort by law enforcement officials who worked tirelessly for 8 hours until they located the child safely in a Fort Worth, Texas hotel room. Thanks to their diligent efforts, the police were able to track down the vehicle used in the abduction, and after a brief standoff with Webb, they rescued the child and apprehended him. The footage of the police rescuing the child was widely shared on social media, and the officers' words, we got her," resonated across the internet, evoking immense relief among the public. During a 3-hour interview with the FBI, Webb's guilt was established through the evidence that showed he had sexually assaulted the child while she was in his captivity. He was found guilty on all charges in October 2019 and was handed a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The presiding judge, Reed O'Connor, rightfully described Webb's actions as heinous, cruel, despicable, and beyond comprehension. The magnitude of Webb's depravity and trauma inflicted upon the innocent child was staggering, and the severity of his punishment reflected the gravity of his crimes. Despite crying during the interrogation, Michael Webb showed no remorse when he received his sentence. Anthony Rodriguez. The recent verdict in the trial of Anthony Matthew Rodriguez caused a great stir within the small community of Great Falls, Montana. Rodriguez was found guilty of committing several heinous crimes, including forcible rape, kidnapping to commit rape, and second-degree robbery. The community felt a sense of relief knowing that he would be imprisoned for a lengthy period. The trial proceedings were arduous, with the jury being presented with alarming details of Rodriguez's actions. However, the evidence presented against him was overwhelming, ultimately leading to his inevitable conviction. Despite the legal battle continuing, with Rodriguez arguing that the trial court had made errors and that his punishment was excessive, the court remained resolute in upholding the original verdict. This case emphasised the victim's bravery, who had to endure the trauma of reliving her experience in court. One of the most poignant moments during the trial was when the victim signed no to Rodriguez while he was sexually assaulting her. Despite the obstacles, the victim stood up for herself and pursued justice. Her courage and unwavering commitment to law enforcement and the justice system ensured that Rodriguez was held accountable for his horrific crimes. If you find stories about kidnappers receiving life sentences shocking, you are not alone in your sentiment.